Welcome back, everybody, to this session. The session is titled The Role of Modern Technologies in the Sustainable Future of Smart Cities. I'd like to briefly introduce our panelists and Mr. Matt Moe. He calls himself Chief Visionary Officer. I like that. Thank you. Mr. Matt, thank you for being here. So let's go ahead and start. How can we use technology to make the cities of the future more efficient and reduce waste?
Yeah, so I can talk about this topic for hours.
Yeah.
I'm a coach also, I like to talk very long, so I'll just try to keep this very short.
Definitely, because the people over there are queuing us. They had me sit here so I can see time. So you're okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So there's two things I kind of picked out for today for the shortness of time. So one thing that's really important that we need to, like Greta just said, raise awareness and have this as a thought process is the way we do construction today. It's believed that approximately 7% of the world's carbon emissions come from construction, and there is a possibility to reduce that by 70% by going into 3D printing. Now, Dubai and the UAE have actually already been on the forefront of 3D printing. The first proper 3D printed house is actually in Dubai. It was a Dubai municipality building. And this is something that's important that we need to really start focusing on. It's very cost effective, because you need almost no staff and you have a certain speed in which you can produce housing. 1 square meter, it takes about 5 minutes to build that, and the 160 square meter house would take approximately 12 days to build. And it is believed today that approximately 1.6 billion people around the world need of proper housing, and this will increase to approximately 3 billion people by 2030.
People who will be using 3D printing housing, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that this becomes more of
3 billion.
People will be in need of housing by 2030 if we continue the way we have been doing this today. And the other important topic is that, and this has been on my mind for a very long time, I'm actually a German national, and I just really love the UAE. I grew up here. I've been in the UAE since 1990. I went to school here also. One thing that's been on my mind for a long time since back then, and hasn't really changed until today, is another important topic for future cities is how we deal with waste and how we avoid waste. Because if you look at, for example, the way we approach today in this country and also in the region, takeout containers, single-use food containers, this is something where I want to just provoke a little bit the thought that this needs to be changed. There must be better ways and smarter ways to do that by using reusable containers, because if we continue with this, like, you know, if you order takeout food, you have a bag of trash like this, this cannot continue. We're going to get into serious trouble with that.
So how do you see the adaptability of people? How are they? Do you believe that, especially with the post-corona, what has happened, you know, with the COVID, how quick are we able to adapt? And do we have it in us, emotionally, mentally, health-wise, psychologically, to run through this industrial revolution? As we know that the fourth industrial revolution is the biggest and ever of whatever mankind has ever seen. So how do you see mankind adapting to this rapid change, mentally and psychologically? Matt, would you like to go first?
To answer your question, we totally have it in us. It's just that very often the environment around us kind of steers us away a little bit from adaptability. See, like I said, I'm a German national, so the German culture, for example, is based on a blaming culture and a problem-focused culture. So I'm more of a solution-focused person, and I have like this theory, so to say, that what's very important is that you control your thoughts. The way in which the human mind, body, and spirit work is thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. So if we have a positive thought process to understand and embrace that we are able to adapt, then other things can fall into place. So when it comes to emotional intelligence, I think it's extremely important, and we definitely have it in us. It's just it needs to be tickled a little bit maybe from time to time.
I believe so. You're absolutely right.
You also see this in corporations which have a modern approach, that they put more focus on so-called soft skills versus necessarily having, you know, technical skills and take-off list and this and that. There's definitely a change coming, and that I think plays very much into this emotional intelligence topic for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Matt, it was a pleasure. Thank you.